And I mean, you've been a community advocate for a while, and now you're in politics and everything. Tell me, what was it? What was it that got you into this? You know, really trying to stand up for
a black mama,
We love that. We love that. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, I'm Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And today, as per usual, I have the legendary Rayceen Pendarvis. Hey Rayceen.
How are you? Greetings and salutations.
I am doing well. And joining us today, we have State Representative for the 181st District in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, Malcolm Kenyatta.
Hello.
Hello. And also friend of the Ask Rayceen show.
Yes, I'm so happy to be back. And I'm also, I just love how you have now just moved to a digital format and keeping it going. The show goes on.
The show goes on. The show goes on.
No show, honey.
Definitely, definitely. So that's what we've had to do. You know, we've had to pivot during this time. Tell me, how are you handling this time right now?
So you know what? I'm actually just back 4 minutes ago from Harrisburg. We had session today, and it's been busy. It has been incredibly busy. We've put together on the Democratic side some working groups to start thinking through how do we reopen, how do we rebuild, and as one of the members, I've been really focusing in on how do we ensure that folks in our communities who were marginalized like well before COVID ever existed, who are now experiencing even more of the impacts of systematic oppression, discrimination. How do we ensure that those folks are a part of the conversation, that the community that I represent and the different communities in which I embody, right? How do we ensure that they're at the forefront of the conversation? And so one of the things that is really good today is that our governor, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, signed an executive order that would increase and streamline the way we're tracking in terms of who is getting infected with COVID-19, where they're from, all those different things. One of the things that was missing on that was that SOGI data, that sexual orientation, gender identity data wasn't included. I sit on the governor's LGBTQ commission, first state in the nation to have that. And just because of the hard work of so many of the members of the commission and me talking to folks in the governor's office, just today, he's now expanded that order to include the LGBTQ community. And I think that that's incredibly powerful because I have a bill that I can talk about later in this interview called Data for LGBTQ Lives, about ensuring that we're collecting that data on all government forms where we collect demographic information.
Yeah, 100, and that is so important because there's so many things and so many issues that are there that probably disproportionately affects LGBTQ people of color. And without that information, without that data, we have nothing to actually present a case to see why this is this way, what we can do to make it better. So I think that is so important that that's something you've included and that you fought for. Actually, tell me more about this bill, because this seems really
that was our next question. You know, we had to get to the bill.
So this bill, I introduce, when we introduce bills, the first thing we do is introduce, we call a co-sponsorship memo, which just tells my colleagues what the bill is about. The bill is written, but we're waiting to introduce it because we want to be able to introduce this at a press conference. I want to have some signs. I want to have the folks, some of our, we've got so many national groups that have also come out in support of this. And I want to make this a big deal because I think it is a big deal. And as was just alluded to, if we don't know, and if we don't have the data to back it up, if we don't know where it hurts, how much it hurts, we're never going to fix what hurts. And so this is a part of a broader movement that I'm not the starter of, but there's some organization called Queering the Census, which has been working to try to get SOGI question on the census. Obviously, with this asshole in the White House, we ain't gonna get it right now, but hopefully in January, because the census has been pushed back, hopefully we have a new president, and that president uses his authority to instruct the Commerce Department to include that now that we have some extra time, because I think that that's critical, that we have that information at the national level. But since we don't, a part of what I've said is, if the federal government's not gonna do their job, then we as state leaders need to do what we can at the state level to help fill that gap. And what this bill would do is very simply, you fill out forms all the time at the DMV or wherever. The government is always collecting information. And there are so many forms where they ask folks your gender identity, your name, your age, all those different things. On any form where there's demographic information, this bill would require that there is a voluntary question on that form that talks about SOGI data. And it's incredibly important because on issue after issue, I mean, you pick an issue that LGBTQ folks are dealing with, and so much of it is anecdotal, right? In terms of the data. Like, we know that the problem exists.
Yes.
We have folks who are, advocates. We have folks like you who are using your platform to talk about these issues. But in government, so much of how money is allocated are based on funding formulas. Those formulas are guided by the data.
Yes.
If we don't have the data, what ends up happening is what so often happens to marginalized folks. There are many moments where we know there's legislation being pushed, or there's somebody out there doing something that directly targets us in a negative way.
Yes.
We push back on that. However, I think one of the things that also happens to marginalized communities is that we're completely ignored. We're not even in the conversation at all. And so this is a part of a broader movement to change that.
I agree.
And that's so important. I think that if we don't make sure that we're visible, people just automatically forget us. Too many times when things are being put in place, or things are arranged, or forms, or panels, too many times people always say, oh, I forgot. But you shouldn't forget people. People should be welcome at the table, and they should be counted. And if people are not conscious of that and you hold them accountable, then they will never know.
And I mean, you've been a community advocate for a while, and you're in politics and everything. Tell me, what was it that got you into this, really trying to stand up for people?
A black mama.
We love that. We love that.
So, I've told this story, a bunch of times, but for people who are watching, it's new to you. When I was 11, maybe 12, we were living on this block, which is in my now district. And I was saying to my mom, I came home and I'm like, all the different issues that you think about in communities where folks are economically strapped, there was trash on the block. I didn't feel like we were doing things that was about, pulling the community together. Let's do a block party, whatever the case may be. And I was saying, Mom, I got this issue, that issue, that issue. And she said, well, if you care so much, go do something about it. And I was like, okay. Okay.
Very bad.
I ran for junior block captain, started organizing block cleanups, and just got engaged. And that was the first time I ever got civically engaged. And as I got older and came out and recognized all the different ways that who I was also meant that me and people like me were going to be excluded from so many things, or in Pennsylvania, even still be fired from your job or kicked out of your house. I mean, even still right now, depending on where you live in the state, you can be fired. You can be kicked out of your job simply because of who you are and how you identify.
Wow. And
that's so sad.
And these are the issues that, we do face that, many that's outside of the community don't even know about. They don't even know that that's a thing. They're like, okay, marriage equality went through. The gays are great. Like, it's much more. It is much more. And it's of a systemic way that's how much these things affect us. Speaking of the pandemic then and Pennsylvania, how are the numbers there? Are things going down there? Are they going up? What is it from your side looking at this entire thing?
So you know, like with most parts of the country, this has really been regional. And so we have some parts of the state where they've had very few cases all along, and where because of the aggressive mitigation efforts the governor took in terms of shutting down the state, issuing a statewide stay-at-home order, it's helped to keep those rates low in places where we weren't seeing some of the initial cases. In places like Philadelphia, the Philadelphia suburbs, where a lot of the population center is, where a lot of people live and work, we still are seeing numbers of cases, and we have lost thousands of people to this virus. So many of them within our nursing homes and in other congregate care settings. It's one of those moments where we've done the hard work of staying at home. And that is hard for a lot of people, because here in Pennsylvania, we are #1 in terms of unemployment claims filed. So many folks who are doing those service-based jobs, which move our economy, are finding themselves in a position where they're out of work. But the good news in doing that tough work and doing it in the way that we've done it, we've been able to keep down the numbers. Now what's happening is the governor is reopening the state using that same regional approach. So if you cut Pennsylvania in half, it's not completely in half, but the north part of the state, for the most part, has now moved to what he's calling the yellow phase. We're using a red, yellow, green sort of approach, have now moved to the yellow phase. And so they're out of the stay-at-home order. Some things are now opened up. They're still encouraging businesses who can to have folks telework, but we're moving in that direction. Philadelphia and the southern part of the state, we're still in that red, that lockdown. But I think, we're seeing that we'll be in a position where hopefully we'll be able to move to yellow soon and then start to figure out what our new normal is.
How about that? And that's so important. But on another level, I know that so many things have been planned, and things that you were looking forward to this year that have been postponed or canceled. What are some of those things that really was like, oh my goodness, I really wanted this to happen, and shawam, it did not?
I know. So I turned 30 on July 30th.
Oh,
you're such an old soul. It's so hard to believe that.
I'm just a little baby, but I turned 30 on the 30th.
So turning 30 on the 30th is so great. I turned 25 on the 25th last year.
So it's your golden birthday, right?
Yeah.
It's the golden birthday. And so I had a bunch of different ideas of things I wanted to do. Maybe it was a party with friends. Maybe it was trying to travel somewhere. But all of that is canceled. That's over. That's over. I'm so upset. It is canceled. I'm so upset. My partner, Matt, we went to the Dominican Republic for his birthday for a couple of days. He turned 30 in January. And I'm so happy because literally maybe, less than a month after he got back was, when we really, really started seeing the cases and everything was locked down. So I'm happy I had a good time for his birthday. That's all I'm gonna get. That's all I'm gonna get.
Oh, wow. Well, I will say this. I hope at the end of this, we get to see each other again. I hope we
I'm gonna come down
all together.
Yes, we're getting your virtual hugs now.
Yes, of course. And most of all, thanks so much for joining us today. It was a good ass Kiki. We had a good time.
Always happy to do it, and thank you, Rayceen, for seriously what you mean to our community, and for how you use your platform to continue to elevate these conversations and these voices. Just so grateful to you and to your entire team who helped makes it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank my team. They're amazing. Team Rayceen, I love you. Our show producer, Czar, we love you. Nikki, Monique, Krylios, everybody, all of it. Teamwork makes the dream work. So, it really does. But most of all, to our viewers, thank you for watching.